1 AR theory dump? $10 says it's a 1 AR theory show.
We'll wait for Jason to what's he doing? We're going to this.
First is the case.
Wait, so who else are all the judges?
John, I think I've picked up your spreading habits.
Yes. Conductor.
Dun, 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 dun.
Everyone, shut up! Hello and welcome to the final round of VBI Philadelphia. Shut up, Sean. Hello and welcome to the VBI 2017 VBI something final tournament. The debaters are Sebastian.
Williams.
I don't know his last name at school. Kenan, I knew your name. Thanks, so. Yeah.
My goodness. Wait.
What an introduction. Go, Daiya!
The affirmative is Sebastian Williams from Gilmore Academy in Ohio, and the negative is Kenan Anderson from Apple Valley High School in Minnesota. So
That's what I said.
Alright, is anyone not ready?
Don't let him know that live your life, Daiya.
Let's go.
I think Jason's not ready.
I from part 1 is warming. The natural sponges normally absorb CO2 are feeling reductions. Emissions are VBI17. Carbon dioxide searching the planet versus the highest rate carbon dioxide pumping the air seems to have stabilized the amount of gases out of stop rising. How can the air be going faster? Natural sponges that have been absorbing carbon dioxide are now changing less than half the gas remaining in the atmosphere. The rest has been absorbed. There's always something akin to garbage workers going on strike. The situation may about to be worse, not better. Human activities estimate pumping of almost 40 billion tons of carbon dioxide. Global emissions flat out at today's high level. The globe still being gripped and withdrawal from the Paris Agreement is tried by reducing emissions. Johnson 17. President Trump announced withdrawal from the Paris Agreement. The Trump administration could choose to give international talk. Trump's follow fossil fuel policies could keep U.S. emissions flat, which would represent 2 billion more tons of CO2. The growth of renewables would be wanted rather than accelerate. China and India have shown encouraging signs. China has indicated it is intent to follow the Paris Agreement regardless of the U.S. And scenario A is ocean acidification. CO2 destroys the ocean. Act in 15. Worst mass extinction in history has been caused by carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide turned oceans into acidic, acidity-driven global environmental climate that killed 90% of Earth's species. Oceans are acidifying rapidly due to human carbon emissions. Oceans be acidifying faster than 250 million years ago. This is the first reiterated evidence of ocean acidification. With this mass extinction, more than half of all carbon dioxide is absorbed by the ocean. It dissolves warming carbonic acid. The global economy stands to lose $1 trillion, and emissions cause ocean acidification, causing food collapse and extinction. Griffin 15. 30% of CO2 have been absorbed by the ocean. The climate represents 30% increase in the animals and tracking skeletons. Make up more than 1/3 of the marine life, coral, and plankton, or the basic marine food, which phytoplankton account for half of the total organic matter. Everything going on in the ocean. Corals play so much of the oceans, like the pH level is going down 20 times faster than miles per hour to disappearance of phytoplankton. The corals will mean the whole fish will go continue rising. The city will cause total bottom of collapses as a primary source for food for 3.5 billion people. And scenario B is global warming. CO2 causes warming. Papa 17. Head of the EPA said he does not believe in climate change. The head of the EPA doubts the consensus scientists of climate change and human activity are causing it. The average ocean temperature has risen 1.4 degrees since the beginning of industrial age. Carbon dioxide concentration surpassed 400 parts per million. Sunlight enters the atmosphere. Nitrogen and oxygen are both 2 atoms. Slightly bound pairs that absorb the carbon dioxide have at least 3 atoms. Carbon dioxide gas remit radiation. The result is warming evidence to strong warming ratios occurring. Doing specific greenhouse gases. Extra carbon in the atmosphere comes from burning fossil fuels. Volcanic carbon dioxide have been 100th of the human CO2 emissions, and warming causes human extinction. Zone Hannah 14. Earth is warming so rapidly. Earth is becoming extinct. The rate of change in environment so fast we can't evolve. Effects on health and stability have been missing. Human-driven climate change shows the great threat unprecedented type to well-being, health, and perhaps even survival. The greatest challenge comes from undernutrition, impaired child development, hospitalizations, and heat waves and other fires leading to weather-related disasters. The spread of infectious diseases. Largest impacts will be on the poor populations. People won't be able to cook the hottest parts of the year. 4 to 7 degrees higher than the pre-industrial times. Temperature above 38 degrees. Impaired function. Stable crop series. The temperature limit of 40 to 45 degrees. Part 2 is the universal basic income. Country with the shorter working hours and small ecological performance. 9 out of 12. Developed countries could achieve slower growth by reducing work hours. Reduced work hours could contribute to sustainability by decreasing production and consumption. Countries with shorter work hours that have a lower ecological performance. Carbon dioxide emissions. New conversations longer due given the economy ability to show GDP to promote human well-being, and empirics prove we see substantial change in emissions by reducing labor hours. UBI 13. Western European countries have seen reduced working hours. The United States not the choices. Significant implications for climate change with shorter work hours associated with global greenhouse gas emissions. Less global climate change. Impact of climate change reducing work hours for the rest of the century by an annual average of 0.5%. Such a change would eliminate 1/4 to 1/2 of the global warming. And UBI encourages people to follow pursuits with smaller ecological preference. Bastioni 17. When people are guaranteed an income, they stay in school longer and spend more time with their families. Hospitalization, domestic violence, and mental health complaints decline. People consistently work fewer paid hours, but most of their spend time in parenting, independent parties, pursuits, and education. They do all the kinds of work they want to do. And every shows that UB reduces hours close to high. Sentence 14. Findings from Seattle, Denver found found to reduce their rate, sadly we find ourselves working 80 too much. We now find 1 out of every 3 of us working more than 50 hours with many working 60 hours. Thus the plan, the United States federal government should provide a universal basic. Again, the plan will be funded through the carbon tax. We don't gain offense from the funding mechanism. We're clarifying states have needed Boals17. Economics and environmental policy works to recommend putting price on carbon emissions. Money that should be returned to the people, to the public, and should go to the polluters. The money that's collected should right back to the American people to form equal capital dividends based on the principles we all own in countries limited carbon restorative capacity. Part 3 is framework. The standards maximizing expected well-being. All frameworks must be theoretically legitimate because the standards interpretation of law. Additionally, they shift the rest of the debate being theoretical. Use framework have the largest impact. This also interacts with the role of the values. If util is the best kind of debate, then we should follow it around. Prefer util. One topic debate most of the literature about the consequences of UBI because they have most people evaluated util interests that keep debate from running predictable practice. That's the strongest of doing during debate. It's easy. Here's a resolvable conclusion. Fairness is voted because every assumption we make in debate is contingent on equal ground. 2 is ground. And train by structural consequences among equal topic means you both have a amount of reciprocal ground, even if the ground quantity outweighs you can significantly get the stock issues as comparatively better than no ground to key affairs because arguments constitute the fundamental premise of debate. Prefer substantively. First, revisionary intuitions and true justified uses of Yaskio. Wait. People do much better discussing whether torture is good when they discuss the meaning of good intuitions, not to be contrasted with reason, morality, smart, renormalizing intuitions, lead all your institutions left with wacky boy, specific institutions. You're left with one to give person, there's nothing else to argue from. If you're trying to use terrorism, running from paradoxes, intuitions about how to get there really mess up research shows that people get the same amount of say 50,000 lives as 5,000 lives. The brain doesn't multiply, quantities get thrown out the window, perceptual intuitions don't handle probabilistic pathways. When you see people insisting that the amount of money, whatever is worth the human life and the choice is real every time it seems without calling it doctor, people or beggars stand to throw quantities out the window, whatever values we're thinking about must be worth trading off against all the values we're thinking about because the thought itself is limited resource that must be traded off with reflection of intuitions. Research the common denominator is more important than life we save than we were conform to any ritual in saving them. And second, phenomenal introspection is a reliable process of leaf formation to the Bob 09. Phenomenal introspection we consider experience in German. What is like phenomenal introspection can only tell us about the intrinsic properties of experience. Phenomenal introspection is generally reliable experience, rich in detail, vision, sometimes reduced in all ways. It's so reliable it means special life we can reliably introspect one conform beliefs using an introspection. When we look at a woman, we can see that the right experience of one can look into pleasure, recognize the space when I experience pain, I can form believe that things are worse. And phenomenal introspection justifies useless in the Bob 09. Phenomenal introspection reliably forms its pleasures, good, negative judgments of pleasure come from one reliable process gives brightness and pleasure to demonstrate the objectivity of phenomenal introspection. And we can tell my experience would be mistaken if at the present moment I consider all these exactly the same experience I'm having. I should believe that my others and pleasures are other times I go to my room and this favors utilitarianism. Go to the role of about, skip the third justification. The role of your about is to vote for debate and endorse the best policy option. Saves inevitable speaking language of power through policy making is the only way to create social change. Cover some flag. Control the governments. What citizens all about citizens bear the obligation to the government should be doing. Absent that motivation, practicalism is lost in narratives, unconnected political power, or co-opted role playing promotes active voting. The power of simulation is far more empowering than abandoning all power in the face of Germany. Imagining a socialist revolution is no less a fantasy. The difference in Capitol Hill, one fantasy speaks the language of power, the other is able to action strategies looking for government power. And within education, this is unique. The judge has an obligation to endorse political education to prevent seeing power. 6. Depolitization of life suggests to fight a crisis of democracy. People developed in different civic engagement. Educators need to counter the assumption that politics is dead, or politics would be determined exclusively by government leaders. Debate about pressing social problems offers individuals hope and championing conditions that bear in their lives to revitalize activism and citizens' access to making educators keep at the forefront of the defense of progressive gains of the state. I have 15 seconds left, so advocates access to one-hour theory. The ace of point is the negative is able to completely read abusive theory shells and also hyperly for poorly structured entities. I immediately recounter against things like nibs and this argument. The B of point is they get access to one-hour theory, so it's only reciprocal. If I get access to theory and rebuttal, the C of point is times 274 means it's really hard for me to engage if I don't get access to checking abuse.
Alright. Alright. Let's start with the theory arguments made at the bottom. If I only read counterplans and dissides and don't read any nibs or like alternate frameworks or abusive frameworks, will you not go for theory in the 1 hour?
I don't. The NC doesn't like contextualize that, but if I find that the counterplans are abusive, you're like 5 conditional picks, then like go for that.
If I read one unconditional counterplan,
will
you not go for theory in the 1 hour?
Probably not.
I want you to take a stance.
What else is the NC?
Disads and turns.
Sure.
All right, cool, thanks. All right, so let's go on to the solvency scenario. You say the only reason that UBI solves climate change is because people work less, right?
Yeah. Well, no. So the argument's kind of complicated. So there's a difference between working and innovating, right? We specifically take a stance on taking polluting jobs in the environment, like i.e. driving like 30 hours to a job.
Wait, so where do you do talk about innovation though?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I'm just saying that there's a distinction. Like,
alright, so
a distinction.
So you say that like, which card is it? One of your cards says that like if the U.S. worked as little as Europe did, climate change wouldn't be a problem.
Sorry, what?
So you say like your Roderick 13 card says like Western European countries have reduced hours, but the U.S. has not, right?
Yeah.
So why is that not enough to combat climate change?
Reducing hours?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. So that's like the entire point.
No, I'm saying why is the U.S. specifically not reducing hours not enough to combat climate change when Europe already has?
Well, because climate change is a big deal, and we're one of the biggest industrialized countries. So.
What your evidence says that only on average 0.5% change in working hours would eliminate 1/4 to 1/2 of global warming. So Europe cutting climate change, that you saying that only talks about the U.S.
Yeah, the 0.5% is talking about the U.S.
Okay.
Also, like that's a lot of like reduced working hours, but like the after that.
Do you have read any empirical evidence about UBI reducing hours other than your sentence 14 evidence?
Yeah, so VBI17 talks about how when people had UBI, they decided to take like the jobs they wanted to do.
Those are from like experiments across the U.S. and Canada, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Do you read any evidence about a larger scale UBI?
Larger scale UBI, like global or like United States?
Just like a larger sample size.
I think the sample sizes in the evidence is like pretty large. I mean, like I don't read one.
I'm not admitting that it's like a tiny sample size. I'm just wondering. I just don't want you to be like, oh, there was this hidden analytic in a card or anything.
Read the evidence.
All right. I want you to defend your plan text throughout the entirety of the debate, including the funding mechanism. I don't want you to. I just want you to not sever out of the plan or how you fund it.
What if I win severance good?
I want you to take a stance now.
I mean, like, sure. Like, I'll defend the plan. Like, I'll say right now severance is bad.
All right. Thanks. I'll start prep time. All right, 2 minutes and 20 seconds of prep time remaining. Is that what you got?
I wasn't timing.
All right, cool.
27 left?
Actually, I think I hit the 3 minute timer, but I'll just do 20.
I definitely don't think that was a minute.
All right, so 3 minute 20. I hit the wrong timer button. Oh. Wait 1 second, I need to save it.
This is upstairs. Or you have everything else is
Alright. The doc should be sent.
How many off?
I believe it's 4 off.
4?
Yeah.
Just be counter plans.
What?
Just be a counter plan.
Yep, 4 counter planes. No, sorry, 1 counter plane, 4 designs.
4 counter
planes.
Just kidding.
How many off of the kid?
100.
4?
4?
So actually,
sorry, Sebastian. I feel like you're going to think this is a little abusive of the case.
That's fine.
I don't know.
Alright.
Wait, what was the order?
4 off case.
Oh. What?
See, Jason knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, I was added to the email chain.
You good?
Daiya!
I literally do not have enough tabs
Alright.
to have 4 off.
Are all the judges good?
Yeah, just have 4 off. No, I need another tab, sorry.
Alright.
I have 9 off on my time zone.
I mean, you can just duplicate tabs.
Yo, just send me your flow.
Daiya, ask him that at the end of the round and maybe you want to score off.
You're a funny man, Sean.
Send me your RFD.
I'm ready. I am ready. Shut up, everyone.
Alright. Everybody good?
Y'all better quiet down.
Alright.
We're literally like a Sunday thing.
First off is the counterplan. The counterplan texts the United States ought to provide a guaranteed basic income to all citizens and legal residents through a 50% tax rate on net beneficiaries. Wood Christian 17 explains the counterplan. The grant level is set to the UBI $12,000 per adult, $6,000 per child. As a poverty line UBI, the marginal tax rate is the tax rate faced by net beneficiaries in any one unit. When the marginal tax rate, all net beneficiaries face the same marginal tax rate of 50%, a reasonable figure balancing marginal incentive with the need to figure out the net benefit. This co-opts all of the offense. He said he does not get any offense off the carbon tax, which means I am decreasing people's working hours and decreasing the ecological footprints just as much, and is competitive. It funds it through a definite mechanism, which is an inherently different process. He promised to defend the plan throughout the entirety. Don't let him sever out of that in his next speech. Next off. First is the natural gas. It said the carbon tax in the AC collapses natural gas import exports levy 12. Natural gas consumption increases gas prices. This reduces exports no matter what. The alternative prices will rise. A bottom price on carbon would raise natural gas use by 5 billion cubic feet a day. Natural gas prices would rise to $7 and $8. This would erode any edge's exports. Actual exports would not materialize, and this causes Russian aggression, says Rick 15. Russia's Trump credit energy. Moscow used it to monopolize European to undermine the EU, then siphon off billions. Interconnections send gas from Lithuania and Poland to Ukraine, undermining Russia's plan. The peace studies are starting to fall into place for European energy free from Russia, but one element remains certain: the supplier. This has been a move on there's been a movement on the US and LNG for more gas will be needed to help secure independence. Cooperation will create a Euro free and in face of the Russian aggression, and this leads to war and mutually assured destruction. Fisher 629. The desire to unite the Russian world would subject economic neighbors driven by insecurity. Russia may feel it has no choice but to escalate, even at the risk of war. Russian acts introduce uncertainty and risk, and American NATO red lines are unclear and poorly defined. Russia could easily cross without meaning to create enough confusion that the US would demand retaliation. This would cause nuclear war and extinction, which outweighs on time frame because climate change is already coming, but it's a long way off. Nuclear war would happen immediately and be much more devastating all around. Next off is the green jobs, they said. First, there's no green tech revolution coming day long. The lack of a technical basis undermines the credibility of any emissions reduction goal, and it destroys the credits of estimates of costs. And avenue well-funded opposition fought the expansion of nuclear energy will large-scale deployment of renewables will be easy, and despite many NIMBY problems of solar and wind, the answers are resounding: no major energy transitions until massive basic changes in basic infrastructure. In the absence of solid knowledge of what is feasible technology forcing cannot be counted on. The basic technology and economics are still available. Improved storage must be the coordinating system. The times when the technologies generate energy do not match when the most energy is demanded. Wind energy is highly variable, which puts immense strain on the management of the good for those technologies. For reliable sources of baseline power will require cost and technological breakthroughs in generation energy storage. Engineers have been seeking improved storage for over a century. Shifting toward electric or natural gas vehicles would require a new retail infrastructure, but plus a new investment at all levels, electricity generating system, and green job studies are wrong. They ignore the job loss created by energy shifts. Taylor 11. Studies don't bother to totally borrow, but tally brown job energy jobs that might be lost. In addition, there's no evidence at all for a green future would yield more energy jobs in Spain. The 22.2 jobs were lost for every green job created. The new manufacturing jobs created to build the equipment for necessary green power plants are assumed to come from US manufacturers. A highly unlikely prospect. The ties of job creation from policies to promote green energy are about as reliable as Enron balance sheets. But the plan would shed prices and collapse the industry. Patrick 15. Low electricity costs are a catalyst for growth. With a 10%, the U.S. will lose 1 million jobs and decrease GDP. The consensus is that higher energy and prices are associated with significant reduction in production, employment, and value added. Increased prices as a result of carbonation would encourage the displacement of jobs. It could affect competitiveness for carbon-intensive goods. Exports would decrease. There seems to be no evidence increased costs are associated with net growth. This means he can't go for any new innovation arguments in the 2NR because I've proven that there is no green tech and that the economy would be harmed by this and that people would be desperate to find jobs and that there wouldn't be this shift away from carbon-dirty jobs that he talks about towards carbon-neutral jobs, which is you talking about the this is to prevent him from shifting towards that in the next speech. Next off is the trade decide. The plan will result in a carbon tariff from other countries, Zhang 10. Border adjustment measures under cap and trade would disturb the world to order and trigger a trade war. Border carbon adjustment measures seem essential to secure the passage of legislation. The U.S. legislature focuses on design issues in more detail. This proposed EU claims to level the carbon playing field for domestic producers. The U.S. EAR targets major emerging economies. The Lieber woman brought the deadline forward to gain business and union backing. The inclusion of trade provisions might be the price of any passage for U.S. legislation capping emissions. No climate change legislation can move through Congress without including trade provisions, and a carbon tariff undermines global trade and sparks a trade war. Betty 15. Without border adjustments, domestic producers will be unable to compete. It is illegal to add such adjustments. We have through treaties, preferential trade agreements, and international obligations. All legal arguments to contrary are theoretical. It would be considered unilateral protectionism, a direct violation of WTO rules. Such a behavior will lead to trade wars that prompted the Great Depression. The WTO rules recognize no way to offset domestic producers by allowing a tariff that would simply amount to unilateral protectionism. Such a blatant violation would undermine the Bretton Woods system. The fee would create conflict with the WTO. It is unlikely Asia would be able to accept such a policy. If China does not add a carbon fee, it could create a trade war. The U.S. should export retaliatory fees and add to its exports. The impact on U.S. competitiveness would be dramatic, and trade war escalates and goes nuclear in 15. A trade war would do is damage to resentful and aggressive China with declining American decides to halt China's ride. The risk of war will increase if China can no longer depend on the U.S. for its economic development. A politically motivated reduction in China U.S. economic interdependence is a precursor to any crisis. Interdependence raises the cost of conflict, negative trade expectations, and generate tensions among trade wars. Leaders may appeal to anti-foreign sentiments, contemplate force to get credibility, and refuse to be deterred. Such a shift could happen abruptly with nuclear deterrence remaining the only factor to protect Armageddon, and unreliably so deterrence could lose its credibility. Great powers might gamble the other in a yield in a cyber war or conventional war. Next on case. First, on the argument that UBI people makes worse, that's not true. UBI actually makes people work more. VBI17. Iran implemented a program that guaranteed citizens cash payments. Reports on no evidence that people were working under universal income. People worked more, shift the burden of proof to those who claim the cash payment, make people lazier. Before, because it's a larger scale, Iran literally gave everyone in their country a UBI which suited principles. His was incomes on certain scales, which is probably like you'd have deficits because, for example, if only one person out of every 10 has a UBI that will affect you working, then it's different because they have an advantage that other people don't. Well, if everyone has a UBI, everyone has the same incentives. So, but for that evidence, in turn, carbon tax hurts the international development of clean energy, making climate change harder to fight. Osmic 15. The future of energy is this: when the cost of solar energy goes below the cost of dirty energy, it will lead to widespread adoption of solar. While the threshold varies, think of the dirty energy cost as a line across. This means the economic benefits of getting below the threshold are big and give the market incentives to innovate, right? Now, however, once we go below the threshold, the incentive to push costs down further will be reduced. What a carbon tax does is push the required threshold level up. This would allow solar to become more profitable source of energy in the US sooner and increase the speed of its dominance. However, a carbon tax would raise the threshold in developing countries. It is easy to see how this could cause solar to reach the threshold for China, India, and other developing countries much, much later. This would suggest that for clean energy to become globally dominant, it's better that the US just subsidize solar innovation and let the untaxed US market stand as an incentive for solar to drive costs lower, and a carbon tax would hurt poor families most, undoing all the benefits of a UBI. Green 12. Poor people spending a large portion of their household budget on energy than do the better off. Higher energy costs will slap the lower end of the income spectrum. Hard pricing carbon gets virtually no climate or health benefits unless it exists within some international carbon control regime, which is unlikely. Global negotiations over carbon controls have become a farce in which developing countries fish for wealth and intellectual property transfers, while developed countries make promises they have little intentions of keeping in. Carbon taxes hurt the poor most. Multiple studies prove. Parker 2. The obvious burden for climate change regulation costs falling people, especially low-income groups. The reason is that companies ultimately pass those costs on to the people for the poor basic necessities, take up a bigger chunk of the budget than for the rich households in the lowest income group. Now pay 80% of income, more than twice what households in the highest 10% of income pay. And on climate change, we're past the tipping point. Emission cuts are insufficient. Climate change is inevitable. Grade 16. Climate change has now reached a level. The Earth is already too hot. Warming has exceeded every worst case scenario. We have reached the free tipping point in which the warming beyond our control, the rational impulse transition away from fossil fuels. The problem we have already exhausted a quarter of delays. The signatories don't believe the effects to reduce greenhouse gas emissions are sufficient. Cut the rest of the cards. Overview is really simple. The counterplan solves the entirety of the app without linking to any of the disheads or the carbon tax turns. Don't spec a carbon tax mechanism. It's pretty bad.
Alright, before we start, you read so many cards that were not in the speech doc, dude. Let's start with the solvency deficits. Warming inevitable. There's just not here.
Oh, sorry, they're in the bottom of them.
What?
Is it not extra? Oh, shoot. I'll send out the speech doc. Must not have saved. Alright, I'll pause cross-X.
That'd be nice.
It must not have saved when I uploaded it. That's weird.
Run disclosure.
I don't think that's how that works.
That should be it. I'll open it up and double check. What?
You read all the extra cards?
No, so I cut the card at the tipping point on the last card.
Y'all want to be quiet again?
So
Thank you.
we're past the tipping point. That was the last.
Okay, you read everything before that?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
And then you just ran it.
Alright. Thanks.
Sorry about that.
You're good. Oh, I cut this one. Alright, 3 minutes starting now. What's the uniqueness on the LNG this end?
That like right now the impact card talks about right now like Europe is moving away from Russia, like Russian domination on oil.
The war card? Which one?
Let me scroll up to it in the doc. It talks about how like we're moving away.
Which card? The one that says war?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry. The causes Russian aggression card. That one.
Alright.
It says that like Russia, the pieces are starting to fall into place for European energy free from Russian aggression, but the critical
Russia's
element.
trump cards has been energy. Moscow uses monopoly on European gas to undermine the EU and siphon off billions.
Yes.
What does that mean? This is non-unique.
No, because the argument is that Russia's trump card has been energy in the past. But
Wait,
the
so
later in the card it says the pieces are starting to fall into place for a European energy free from Russia. So the argument is that Europe is now able to get cheap natural gas exports from the U.S., which decreases its like reliance on Russia, which is, like makes it harder for Russia to leverage their like reliance on oil.
Okay, so basically we're no longer relying on Russia.
That is yes, but the plan causes us to be because it kills natural gas exports.
Okay. Let's go to the green jobs you said. No green tech revolution, the plan sheds prices and collapses the industry. But if we have no green tech revolution, why would it matter if you destroy the industry?
Yeah, this is just to prevent you from going for some new extrapolation in the 2N about how like it actually does increase jobs, but like in an innovation green tech way, which I know you have cards for.
So there's no offense right now as of the 1NC?
I mean, I guess it could impact the economic like collapse somehow, but no. Like, it doesn't like functionally. Like there is a warrant that the Patrick 15 evidence says it would like harm the economy, which like could weigh under util.
That's fine, but you don't read an impact card for that causing any war?
No.
Alright.
Not on that dissent.
Let's go to the trade dissent.
Yeah.
So why does the plan result in a carbon tear-off?
Yeah, because that's like the inherent rules of how a carbon tax would work. Would to pass Congress, it would add a like carbon tariff for like IE.
So it has to pass. So if a cap and trade proposal is passed through Congress, we have a tariff.
Yes.
All right, so I'll just make sure you realize that the plan text doesn't do a cap and trade.
Cap and trade is a
Let's
is a
go
carbon
to
tax.
the okay.
Cap and trade is a synonym for carbon tax.
All right. You said you read before. You read okay. Now let's go to the turns.
Yeah.
So you talked about the VBI17 evidence that people will work less under universal basic income.
Yeah.
So this just looks at Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this all of Iran or is this just one?
It was everyone.
Okay, so like, do you have like? Okay, that's fine. And then let's look at the carbon tax for its international development of clean energy.
Yeah.
What's the impact of that?
Yeah, so that's the argument that, i.e., the real question of climate change is when solar becomes cheaper than coal. So like when we cross this line. But if we raise that line artificially through a carbon tax, solar will become cheaper than coal in the US, which will mean there's no incentive to innovate more in the US. But it won't be cheaper than coal in other places. So even if it essentially means that we will get all solar in the US, but there will be no incentive to make it cheaper for other countries, which means other countries will be stuck with coal, which means you can't fight climate change on a global level, which is essential.
Wait, why would that be the case? Why does the carbon tax affect other countries?
Okay, it doesn't affect other countries, but the idea is that solar producers in the US who are innovating right now would have no incentive to innovate cheaper once they beat out coal in the US market because of the carbon tax.
All right.
And so yeah.
Thank you. So 4 minutes starting now. 103 left. The order is going to be case counterplan, the trade disad, the LNG disad, and then the green jobs disad.
I'm gonna need that one more time.
It's going to be case, CP, trade, LNG, green jobs.
Okay.
Case, CP, trade, LNG, and then green jobs. Yeah, you'll get the email.
Where are you starting on the case? Because I have it on 2 separate sheets to go through.
Sorry, what?
Where are you starting on the case? I have it on 2 sheets.
I'm starting on like the solvency probably, and then the scenarios, and then what you see ready.
Sending it out now, right?
What?
Sending it out now, right? You're sending it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm just doing it.
I haven't gotten it.
Alright, you should have gotten it now.
On the app, are you going
I'm starting on my solvency, then going to the scenarios, and then going to the case terms.
Thank you.
Once again, time to quiet down.
1 second, I'm still opening it.
Is everybody good?
Yeah, it's still open.
Okay. It's gonna be just 4 minutes of dark blues.
Thanks, buddy.
You didn't get the preamps to that in the NC?
Oh shit.
Alright, I'm ready.
Alright, so is everybody good? Extend Sanchez 14, Bastion 17, Rossi 13, 19, the insolvency for countries with a UBI have a small ecological footprint. He reads solvency deficit, but our evidence takes out one preferred country for United States specifically. That's the Sanchez evidence, which is specifically countries that are the United States countries that have or states that have universal basic income prefer that because Iran is a completely different economy because they're completely oil-based. United States is different than that. Additionally, Sebastian 17 is the evidence makes no distinction between innovation and labor worth. Sebastian 17 says people are going to take jobs and have a small ecological footprint, so more people might be working, but they're using less jobs. We're going for the try or die frame in King 17, sponges are filling Zadko Johnson 17 is try or die because Trump is not going to do anything about it. We're going for the ocean acidification series and Atkins 15 CO2 destroys the ocean's Griffin 15 means that extinction because the total bottom of the collapse is outweighs any of the scenarios. The ace point is probability makes extinction in the past as it was occurred because of ocean acidification. The B point is evidence qualifications. This was the first study of the kind to indicate that this was a possibility. The C point is just gut check. It's obvious that global warming is a really big deal. They say climate change is inevitable. 1 reductions can avoid into like catastrophic impact. Chatty 13 1 could guarantee effects of emissions are covered. The study is the first comprehensive assessment of the benefits of cutting emissions to keep global warming temperature within 2 degrees. Reduction reactions are on track to burst impacts to be delayed at fall within yield. That's delayed. Reducing emissions will buy time to make things more resilient. Climate change and warming is not inevitable. Immediately reversible. No time to delay. Dejaris 13 carbon dioxide emissions will immediately affect the rate of warming. Iran locations are made the climate seem intertractable and it is immediate decrease in CO2 would in fact result in immediate decrease in quick climate response. Open the possibility for emissions reductions and would occur at time scales slowing warming will falls on reducing CO2 emissions. Emissions cut out may have an immediate effect. Okay, so now go to the solvency. Additionally, overview on all the indicts to why we don't solve the poor, why carbon tax is bad. There's no impact to this. We're just saying extinctions happen because of ocean acidification. There's no impact to a carbon tax being shitty. We'll do the way. Now we'll go to the counter plan. Oh shit, okay, so counterplan flaw. Counterplan flaw of the United States is not an actress of landmass, which means the act literally cannot be, or the neck literally cannot be enforced. U.S. State Department rights. The United States is a country covering a swath of North America, Alaska, and Hawaii, extending to the Pacific Ocean. Vagueness is normally syllable 1, 3 impacts 1, ground allows 1 error to spike out at least by clarifying 1. Any of these phrases mean 2, education positions 4, and vagueness makes fashion possible 3. Worst case, the president not George will plan to implement the plan. Now go up to the card. George 2010. Congress routinely delegates fake authority in courts meaning adopted by agencies because agencies have great expertise as a result of routine administration of law within their particularly highly specialized jurisdiction. Usually, permutation due to the counterplan is not functionally competitive because they have never specified that carbon tax is part of the plan. It just simply says that it is a enforcement mechanism. Those are just saying things. It's not functionally competitive because the plan can be enforced. The distinction makes for functional competition one real world no one cares about. There doesn't pages of Obamacare that's care about the spec 2 clash consistent with Fiat. We're imagining a world where the plan is implemented. So we should imagine a world where the CFP is Fiat without imagining a world we can debate a 3 depth. No point in going to depth on the CFP which is in 4 where pigs are bad. Now let's go to the trade tab first. The Zhang system evidence is terrible because he says the control link is on a cap and trade system, but the AC enforces a tax. There's a distinction. Look at the literature. Carbon pricing is cap and trade and a tax. The AC fund is tax. Evidence talks about cap and trade too. It is contingent on plus panning through Congress because that's the only way tariffs will be enforced. But we don't fiat through Congress. We fiat via an executive order. You never asked us to enforce that, but that's how I'm enforcing it. The one AR. You said Chubb and sperms are bad, but this is an intrinsic argument because I'm changing how the enforcement works. The one AR intrinsic good because interest equal access bound rectifies the times. So now go to the LNG argument. Your levy evidence means your entire dissent is not unique because your evidence says that prices will rise regardless. That's damning because that means prices are going to rise whatever and cause war with Russia because Russia will be able to have lower prices, meaning that means your dissent is not unique and Russian war will trigger regardless. Go to the Fisher evidence team 1. This evidence is speculation. There is no warrants as to why Russia will go to war. It's just some neocons speculating that Russia will be aggressive too. They wouldn't want to get into war with the United States because they know cooperation on warming is key because Russia's not stupid. They know warming is an existential threat. If the Afghans is trying to die, yeah, so there's that. Additionally, now it's sort of the Green Jobs has had. He has no impact. He's a battery 15 evidence. Don't let him mixing the nuclear extrapolation as to why this causes extinction. He said in his own speech that he's only going to go for this if I make extrapolations as to why we improve innovation, but I don't do that. So actually, let's go back to the LNG dissent. Go back to the Fisher evidence. And make sure he has impacts that actually articulate their impacts and lead to nuclear war. He never impacts why war with Russia would actually go nuclear, or why would it cause extinction. I have evidence that talks about total bottom-up collapse of food. You're always more for evidence and specificity. The ace of point is to prevent debaters from making really shitty claims about anything related extinction just because there's a word war in a card. The base of point is to encourage education because we actually debate about real-world problems. Sure, we might get a warship that doesn't guarantee extinction, so the app is always outweighing because of this extinction. And I guess that applies to his other impacts as well. Extinction outweighs reversibility because we have reverse effects to extinction. You're going to have to be straight, and base of point is scope affects the entire world, not just the United States.
All right. Starting 320. What arguments do you make on the counterplan other than the perm? The 3 reasons why functional competition is good and the counterplan flaw.
I think I said I don't think I made any arguments.
Alright, cool. And then your arguments on the LNG are just like my arguments are non-unique. I don't specifically impact and extinction outweighs.
LNG?
Yeah.
It's non-unique. Your evidence is trash. Russia wouldn't go to war, and extinction outweighs, and your evidence doesn't talk about it.
Is there a warrant for Russia not going to war, or do you just say that like my evidence is?
Yeah, they want to go to war because they know they need to cooperate with the United States on solving warming.
Alright. What's the third argument you make about why you should prefer more specific evidence?
Where was that?
Yeah, and what are the arguments you make about why extinction outweighs?
Where?
On the LNG.
I think I talked about specificity, people for making ridiculous claims because the word war is in a card.
Also, can you read me the plan text of the F? Or I guess I can pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I already know what this says. I don't want to I'll read the later one.
What's the one for the clash with Fiat argument?
Clash?
The functional competition argument.
Yeah, so we're saying that like.
Oh, when you Fiat both, they look the same?
Well, no, it's that you can't really debate something if you don't know the world exists, right?
Alright. Did you read the word picked bag argument?
If I did, I don't think they'd evaluate it because it's 3 sentences, but I think I did.
How's it a word pick?
Well, it's just a justification for why functional competition is a good.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So,
What was it? Oh, wait, no. All right. Alright, I'm not reading anything new. The order is going to be counterplan, LNG disad, case, trade disad if I have time.
sorry, CP, case, or should you say it again?
Counterplan, LNG disad, case, trade disad if I have time.
Nothing new?
No new cards.
Ready.
Alright. Are all the judges ready? Alright. Start on the counterplan. First on the counterplan fault arguments. 1. These are all bogus arguments. The US is really bad, and also all these specific articulations of ground education in turn case. None of these apply first. He says ground allows you one area spike elements by clarifying what all these phases meant, but that's exactly what he did with his plan. He spiked out of the federal government to the executive action, which means he bites into this just as much by spiking out. He actually abuses I'm not actually changing the advocacy, which means this argument has no impact because it harms both. 2. He says education is important and makes clash possible, but he's He's the one who shifted his advocacy here. And 3. He says turn case the president, not courts, will interpret the plan, but that means his case is turn too, because he just said in his last speech that the presidents will interpret the plan. So if the presidents interpret his UPI and interpret my UPI, they're probably going to happen in the same way. So all these arguments are contextualized to specifically why the US will be implemented in a bad way on the United States as a bad act. So this is obviously untrue. The counterplan is really clear. Vote on the spirit of the counterplan. You clearly know what it meant intuitively. Even if the United States is a country, the country is ruled by government. This argument makes sense. And his articulations of these specific reasons why counterplan is a voting issue, he bites into harder, which means if you're going to be voting on anyone, classify his arguments as you have. He actually shifted his advocacy and spiked out skewing ground and disad links. I didn't. These all bite into his advocacy text more than I do. Next, onto the functional competition good. First off of real world, am I more real world? We care about how Obamacare is funded. The differences in how Obamacare is funded are more important than whether or not what the world looks like. It's important part 2. He says comes with we're imagining a world where the plan is implemented, so that's how we have to debate it. But the world in which the counterplan is implemented is different than the world of the app. That means if I win, because they're actually implemented, which means it's actually functionally competitive, and it takes out this argument, i.e. if I win a turn or a tax or a disad or anything, and the fact that he goes for advantages on why the counterplan doesn't solve shows that they're actually different worlds. And 3, he says no point going in depth, but it's more in depth if we debate the funding mechanism, because we can look at how it actually affects things, which means depth is better. He says there's no point in going in depth when the CP is mutually exclusive, but they are their different worlds, and it's better to go in depth. This turns this argument. 4, he says word picks bad, but then he doesn't warrant this argument. It's super blippy. Also, word picks aren't necessarily bad. He doesn't warrant why functional competition do this. For example, you can go for functional and textual competition. For example, also he can see the argument that the counterplan is functionally competitive. This was made at the end of the counterplan last week because the world in which the counterplan exists looks different because of the tax effects than the app. They're functionally competitive. When you fiat them, they look different. That's the definition of functional competition. You just did not do enough work there. Next, on the LNG death side. First, extend the 11-12 evidence, which says that natural gas prices will rise. He said this is a really bad piece of evidence because it's not unique, but that's not true. Look in depth in the card. It says that the reason prices will rise is because we are using more natural or using less natural is because we are of a carbon tax. That's what the evidence says. So it's not unique. It's just a strong link argument. He just doesn't read the underlying text. So then he says with 15 evidence that it causes Russian aggression. He concedes 100% strength of link here. He says that Russia right now is not going to go into war, but that's not true. My evidence is really good on this. It says that Russia is posturing in things like Ukraine and stuff and using its European it's hold over Europe's oil supply to leverage it. He says there's no impact, but you can cross-play the impact card from the trade disad, the Thompson 15 evidence, which says that conflicts, war, and trade wars and wars with Russia will go nuclear and cause terrible things in extinction. He says I don't actually say extinction, but my card doesn't have to say extinction to say that nuclear winter would be really bad and that it would cause lots of other issues and make it harder to fight climate change. Also, my impact controls the internal link to his. One point is that if we're fighting with Russia, we can't solve climate change. That's the issue. Argument he made too, and he also concedes that my time frame, i.e. war with Russia is much more likely to happen in the next 5 years than he did that was a conceded argument coming out of the 1 and 2, which means it has on this particular link. He says my argument is vague, makes a bunch of blippy reasons, but call for the evidence. It's pretty good about war. Even if the tag was blippy, the evidence is good about why the risk of wars happen, and there are no bright lines. He says specificity is good, and John intervention is bad, but the evidence is good. Even if the tag was blippy, my evidence is really good about Russia is actually going to go to war with the US. He says extinction outweighs, but I'm accessing the internal link because of we need to be able to work with Russia and stuff to fight climate change. That was his own argument, and I'm accessing it on time frame, so I'm accessing the extinction impact just as much as he is. Next on case. Extend the Greg 16 evidence that we have crossed the breaking point for climate change. He reads the cardinal response, but mine is more recent, which means you should always prefer it, i.e., even if in 2013 we could reduce emissions enough to fight back on climate change, in 2016 it was too late. There was no new response to this in the UN, which means I am warning that climate change is not try or die, and it's too late, which means you only evaluate other impacts first, yeah. So then Cynthia is all 15 evidence. He says that Iran is a different country with a different economy, but he can see the preferring argument that it's a larger state, and i.e., even if Iran is an oil-based economy, that just means it's more likely to have an increase in carbon footprint, and he can see the argument that he can see the pockets argument, i.e. how the incentive of the UBI will be different if 1 out of every 10 people in a city are getting them than if 1 out of every 100 people, or if everyone is getting them, because that changes the work incentives and changes the playing field. That was conceded. Also conceded the Osmic 15 evidence. He didn't respond to this. This says that we would not be able to fight climate change on a global scale, which he conceded in his last speech was important because we would not have solar innovation in the US. So that means it is a turn on fighting climate change, which means you can pull the trigger right there, even when climate change is an issue. The carbon tax would harm it, and the counterplan co-ops all the offense. Next on the trade dissent. He says the cap and trade is different than a distinction, but my evidence says that any tax on carbon, whether it's a cap and trade or a tax, would do it. That's a Zhang evidence extended. He said it's contingent on a failed executive order, but Trump is really big on border adjustment taxes. That's what he talks about taxing Russia and taxing tariffs. Trump has been a pro-tariff president, which means he just strengthens the links to extend the Zhang evidence, which says that there will be a major issue, and there will be a major carbon tariff. And extend the Betty 15 evidence says that this will lead to trade war. He concedes the internal link here, and extend the Tonneson 15 evidence says that this will lead to nuclear war and will cause extinction. He concedes this too, which means I also have a 100% strength link, which means I'm always outweighing the defense on the counterplan. I also control the internal link. You can classify the internal link and frame time frame arguments. I mean, on the other side about how we an international cooperation is key to fighting climate change and how access the impact on a larger time frame with a stronger internal link. So that breaks down pretty clearly. His arguments about why the counterplan is competitive just aren't true. It's functionally different because the world in which they're created look different. I've impact on all these specific reasons why it's bad for real-world education, depth. On the counterplan flaw, I've shown how he's actually been abusive with plan flaw by changing his actor, changing the education, and spiking out of it while I haven't, which means the only place you can vote on that is cross-applied to the app. And he's also conceded the argument I made that the counterplan itself is 100% of the app. So if I win the counterplan is competitive, you can vote. Also, even if he wins that the functional competition is good, that just justifies the perm, but the disads still link into the perm. So even if he wins that, you can vote neg on the disads. Also, he concedes the Osmic 15 case term, which means that carbon taxes are bad for climate change, which is another disad to any perm he might try to win.
How much time do I have?
I think it was like a minute. I don't know.
I don't remember how much time I have left.
103.
103.
That's close.
Start that now. Alright, the order is going to be overview. So it's like overview on the top of the case. Then it's going to be solvency, my scenario, and then, yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the order?
So it's going to be starting on case, it's going to be solvency, my scenario. Then it's going to be the counterplan, excuse me. Then it's going to be the LNG disad, then the trade disad.
So, half counterplan, natural gas, trade.
Yeah. Is everything good?
No,
Everyone good?
We're going for trying prime damning on ocean acidification and counterplan flaw, meaning he doesn't solve for the apples, go to solvency. Go for 9-12, Rossing, doing capacity, 17, Sanders 14. That show countries like the United States have shown universal basic and reduces work hours, and that people follow pursuit. He extends the no card, saying it's, I'm conceding that it's a different study, but he's conceding that his study does not make the distinction between different types of works, i.e. innovation, or taking a polluting job. That outweighs any of his weighing arguments because of the fact that he haven't said there's more work, or it's a question of what kind of work. Our evidence indicates that there's a less kind of polluting work, meaning we still have access to solvency. You concede on the 13, but so long as they wouldn't try or die, this has no impact because the United States is at least doing something. If I want to solve the deficit on the counterplan now, let's go for the ocean scenario. Extend Atkins 15 and Griffin 15. That CO2 emissions cause ocean acidification. Ocean acidification causes extinction. Extend the weighing argument for ocean acidification that goes cold conceded the ace of point is probability because intuitively it makes sense. This is going to occur. Additionally, our evidence is really good on this issue. Total bottom collapse. We're destroying the foods supply for 3.5 billion people with a beast bonus qualification that this was the first study of a kind. Those arguments go conceded and are key in science debate because science changes every time and people with qualifications ensure that they have the ability to best discuss what's happening. All of his arguments are based on science arguments, but mine is more qualified. Additionally, it's in the Gilly 17, Johnson 17 means try right for the affirmative meaning. So long as you win the solvency evidence to the counterplan and when the ocean acidification outweighs, you vote F. So go to the counterplan. Extend the counterplan flaw that the president is not going to be able to interpret the meaning of the counterplan because the United States is a landmass, not a body. Extend the State Department 7077 says that the United States is not an actress, a landmass, and extend the George 2010 that says that it's impossible to interpret and will prevent the plan from being implemented. He says that the president will be able to interpret, but no one. The argument is from the U.S. State Department to prefer that, meaning that the United States federal government in and of itself does not understand what the United States means. And then 2, this is a solvency deficit, i.e., sure, you're winning on the fairness education framework, but this is an independent solvency deficit framework because the president will not be able to interpret because the federal government is different from the United States. Additionally, our evidence is from the State Department itself, meaning that president will know and not in fact interpret this way because the president and the State Department itself said it's different. Additionally, say vote on spirit of interpretation, but text is key to policy making, especially because our evidence indicates a specific reason why policy making or why specifically text is key to policy making. Additionally, you say that I bite into the counterplan flaw even more, but these are based off of education arguments, but I never read education to voters, so there's no impact to this. So we're winning the solvency deficit of the counterplan because you're conceding evidence that says won't be able to interpret it, so you have no solvency. Now we'll go to the LNG just had. Extend the analytic on the Fisher 29 evidence says if Russia wouldn't go to war because they don't need to solve warming, that concession is damn me because this evidence is already read to begin with because it never says we're going to go to new war. It says there's a small probability, but Russia probably wouldn't go to war because they know that they need to work with the United States to solve it. Additionally, you're preferring the AC framework off of strength of link because they're conceding that ocean acidification is more probable and is based off better qualifications, meaning you're airing out because it's try by. Additionally, this controls the internal link because we're going to go to war if you have ocean acidification because people are going to need food, so food controls the internal links in this. Additionally, so yeah, and then finally going to the trade-off to said, we're extending the argument that cap and trade and tax are different things. Your evidence only talks about a cap and trade, but he tries to make this really shitty argument that there's somehow the same thing as evidence speaks to it, but it is not. Cap and trade and taxes are different. The AC only funds it through a carbon tax. That's distinct. You're putting a tax on a policy's entire link arguments based off a flawed cap and trade implementation, not a tax, meaning we don't link into the trade that's said. So we'll have ocean acidification because the probability in other goals, that's key. Science debates, both impacts rely on science. Additionally, counterplan flaw means it doesn't solve because it's a solvency deficit, it's the actual implementation.